All right, today I'm working on a 4L60E on the bench here out of a 2001 Chevy pickup. And I just kind of wanted to go over what the problem was with it. This moved, with the exception of reverse, this moved forward in all ranges, or it wanted to move forward. So if you would put this in park, say that, well, the car's in park, you start it up, the car would lurch forward. In reverse, it wouldn't move. It actually bound up. And in neutral, you can drive this car down the block like you're driving it down the road, no problem. And all of the drive ranges, of course, it'll drive. So I want to let you know what I found with that, and also why that happens, why it moves forward, and you know, we like to say moves forward in neutral. If it could, it would move forward in park, because when we got in the car, you know, when the guy came here, he says, my car has no reverse. So when we got in the car, you know, it started up, it was in park. So it's really not gonna go, but, you know, the car lurched forward like it wanted to move. And right away I knew this thing probably moves forward in neutral. Sure enough, I put it in neutral, I drove it down the block with him, and I said, look, I'm in neutral. So I kind of want to go over that. And also, going through this transmission, I found a broken spring in the valve body that, you know, maybe sometimes could be overlooked. Maybe it's checked, maybe it's not checked. I check every one of them, of course, as a standard rebuild procedure. And occasionally I do find this particular spring broken. It is behind the 3-2 downshift solenoid, and I have the broken spring here, and I have a Sonex replacement. And this, so talking about the spring now, that basically there's two types. 96, well, let's see, 93 to 95, it was PWM. So this spring will not work, okay? It'll work only on the on-off style, which is the second design, and which is 96 and up. So if you have a spring broken on 93 to 95 4L60E, this spring will not work. I'm not sure, honestly, if Sonex makes one of those. But this one, you know, occasionally, I check every one. Occasionally I do find it broken, and the fact that Sonex makes the spring, you know, it somewhat is a common issue. And if you find the spring broken, it can cause a 3-2 bind up, or it can also cause the band to overheat. So as if you're tearing one of these down 96 and up, well, you should check it all the time, but basically 96 and up, you can get a replacement spring, and it's something that definitely should be checked anytime you have this valve body out or you're working on this transmission. So I'll show you where that is located. And I want to go over the reason why this moved forward in all ranges. And pretty much this is, I'll get a close-up shot of this, but these are the forward frictions. And I have one clutch disc that is welded to a steel. So pretty much this thing is locked on, and it's the same thing pretty much as having the piston apply the clutch so the car can drive forward. So no matter what you're in, this car is going to want to move forward. So of course, let's start with park. In park, the car will lurch forward. It can't move forward because the car is in park. And when you put it in reverse, the reason why it will not move in reverse is because the car wants to move forward, because the forward clutch is locked on. And in reverse, the reverse clutches get applied. So between the two of them, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, if you just sit there and race it up, and this clutch disc breaks loose from the steel, then fine, it'll go backwards. But when you try it, you know, it was just bound up. It just wouldn't go anywhere. And then when you put it neutral, when everything is released, this of course is locked on. So it's the same thing as having the clutch applied, and you can drive the car down the street. So that's pretty much what goes on when these clutches are locked on. If the low reverse or the reverse clutch was locked on, the car would not move forward in drive, but you put it in reverse and it's going to back up. Same deal. Except the car really probably wouldn't move in any of the drive ranges except in neutral and reverse. It'll go backwards. You start it up, it's going to lurch backwards but not go. So it will be the same thing. So let me give you a close-up shot of this. I want to show you the spring and valve. I'll show you where it goes. I got the Sonex Transtar's part number, but you just go on Sonex website. It's pretty good. And you click on transmission and you can type in the search or in the box 4L60E and it'll come up with the whole list, and you scroll down until you see the springs and you'll see the spring listed there. All right, so let me go a little closer and we'll do this, so this way I can finish this up. And next I got a couple of 62 TEs to do. I still got a couple of Hondas to do. I got a Pathfinder RE5 that's got to come out. So still pretty busy here, still a little backed up. And just trying to get these things done and out. And thank God everything is going nice and smooth, not too many issues. So we can get this work done. All right, so let me get a little closer here and we'll look at that, look at the valve body, and just want to do kind of like a, more like a quick tip video, basically on this broken spring for the 3-2 downshift, because it is something that if you're working on one of these again, it should be checked. Maybe one out of every 10 or 12 transmissions I do of these 4L60Es, and we do a lot of them here, I find that spring broken. All right, so it's not too often, but it is an issue where Sonex does sell the spring, so definitely it's something that should be checked. And just in case you're not sure what solenoid it is, I can show you the solenoid and an easy way to identify the solenoid, because it looks almost the same as the TCC PWM solenoid, and they're both on the top of the valve body, one on each side, so I can show you how to identify that solenoid. I have my two replacement new ones here. All right, so let me get a little closer and we will start. All right, first, so here's the forward, what's left of them anyway. So I did new clutches and steels. Okay, and here is the clutch that is totally locked on here. All right, so I just got it off. But this was my problem. This thing was kind of like welded here, and you put this thing in drive, like I said, it's just like or reverse or neutral. It's just like the clutch is applied because it's locked on here, like the piston is applying it, and it'll just go forward in all ranges. If it was, again, reverse, it would go backwards. In neutral, and in reverse, and in drive, it wouldn't move. But that's what's left of that clutch disc. So that is forward. The result of this was it moves forward in neutral, and no reverse, because it was binding up in reverse with the two sets of clutches on at the same time. Okay. All right, so here is my broken spring. Okay, and again, that's the 3-2 downshift. Here is the valve. You put the valve and spring in, and then you put the solenoid in. Here is the replacement. I don't know if you can see that, but that's Transtar's part number, and this is Sonex part number. Let me just back it out a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so here is the spring that Sonix makes. The replacement, again, 96 and up. Will not work on the first design. And you know what? I have actually a picture here because this the separator plate on the 4L60Es 96 and up, well, pretty much Transco makes them for all years, and I always like to change it. And this one here is the 96 and up, and they show, here's the second type, which is the one I have, and here is the first type. So it will not work on the first type, but it will work on the second type. Okay, and pretty much the spring just goes right over just like that. All right, so here's the broken one. So let's get rid of this. And now, the valve and spring and solenoid are in this line up here. All right, so we'll put that in. So here are my, and this is how I identify the solenoid. So here is the TCC PWM and the 3-2 downshift solenoid. Okay, so there's no bottom like lip here on the TCC PWM solenoid. Okay, and there is one on the 3-2 downshift. So that's how I identify the solenoid. Just like if you glance at it real quick, if it has this bottom lip, it is the 3-2 downshift solenoid. Okay, so then, let me just move this down. Sometimes you gotta fiddle with it to get it in. Okay. All right, so we're in here. I'll just let it relax a little bit. I'll get my solenoid. Again, with the lip here, we put some grease on the O-rings. Okay, and where is my clip? All right, and then we'll just put the clip in to hold the solenoid, and that's it. All right, also whenever you're working on these, I did believe I mentioned it before, but this solenoid is a common or a standard rebuild procedure to change it. All right, here is the old one. And a lot of times what can happen is these snouts can crack that you can't see, and it can cause the converter slip code like an 894 or an 1870. And here is the old 3-2 downshift solenoid, and here is the new one. Oops, that's wrong. Okay, so the solenoid is in, and all right, so here is my TCC PWM solenoid that I always change on every overhaul that I do, because it is common. This is the old one, and it is common for, and I know I've mentioned this before in other 4L60E videos, these snouts like to crack that, you know, to the point where you can't see it, but you will get converter slip codes, 894, 1870, and here is the old 3-2 downshift solenoid. That gets changed every overhaul too. So, you know, I just wanted to make you aware of that spring that cracks. It is something, if you're if you're working on the transmission, or you maybe have to take the valve body down, or whatever the case may be for some reason, it is worth just popping that solenoid out to check the spring. All right, and again, it's not too You know, not every one of them that I see broken, but it does have to be checked. And that's about it. Again, this is a 2001 Chevy pickup, 4L60E, and again, the main reason why we got this in is because this was locked forward and had no reverse, and we saw that clutch that was locked onto that steel plate. It is no longer locked on because I peeled it off. But that was our problem. That's the reason why we got the job in. All right, so I'm going to finish up this trans, and when the guys get in, they'll be able to install it. All right, I thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next one.